Okay, so it seems like we have another update with Takanashi Kiara and essentially the kind of involvement with Sameko Saba and some of the things that went on with some of the fans went over to a Claire Obscure stream and essentially kind of ruined a little bit the vibe. Now, obviously, you know, it's nothing to do with Saba, it's not exactly her fault or anything, but I kind of wanted to show you guys some more clips that have actually come out from this entire situation to give you guys more of an understanding of how overwhelming this kind of, like, in quotation marks, raid, you know, was. Because there was a lot of people joining into Kiara's stream, from Sameko Saba's stream, but whenever we looked at this last time, we looked at this one post on r/virtual YouTubers, which essentially was, you know, saying, please don't be rude by, you know, spamming another streamer's name in someone else's stream, and this was essentially during the Saba debut. This wasn't after, this wasn't before, although there was a little bit before. I think they said like 5 minutes before Fish debut, so again, they had some before it. So again, this was before and a little bit during, and essentially people were bringing up, you know, obviously Sameko Saba in the chat, and it's very, very understandable because obviously she had such a massive impact on the VTuber community, so there's going to be a lot of people talking about it, but it still doesn't change the fact that it is quite rude to be going into another VTuber's chat and talking about another person in there and what they're doing, because again, it's your stream or it's the streamer's stream, and you know, it is considered very, very rude to be doing anything otherwise. And I think that, yeah, obviously it is a really big event and it's, you know, understandable that people are excited, but, you know, especially considering the fact that Kiara is in Hololive, you know, obviously what Gura used to be in, I'm pretty sure they probably don't really want to talk about it. Obviously, you know, whenever it comes to some agencies, some VTubers have to stay quiet on certain topics, and I think Gura might be one. You know, obviously they can't really mention her that much, especially they can't really mention her new indie kind of, you know, channel, but I think that, you know, mentioning old Gura or whatever is fine, but essentially, yeah, it does create for a very awkward situation, and you know, maybe this clip didn't come across as awkward as enough to some people, because this is another clip which actually dropped after Saba ended her stream, and a lot of the autoplay from YouTube went over to Kiara. So I'll just play it and then we'll talk about it.
Bye bye bye. So bye 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 bye. So bye.
This is her ending stream.
Okay. Okay, goodbye. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Goodbye. Bye. Bye.
And then this is Kiara's stream.
Benisseur, Montar. Do you have the one that gives you shields?
Yeah, then you can see Saba raid, Fish raid. It's quite useful having this chat up here.
How weird, I don't see a raid happening from YouTube side.
Yeah, and bear in mind, Saba did not raid her.
How totemo okashi desu ne. Manual raid.
Yeah, as you can see, it's a little bit awkward. I mean, I would feel very awkward as well if that was to happen, especially if, you know, you can't particularly talk about, you know, Saba and things like that. And obviously people were in the chat saying stuff like unofficial raid, manual raid, everything like that, because again, this wasn't an official raid. This wasn't something that Saba did, you know, and obviously if Saba did go ahead and raid them, then obviously that would then go and be Saba's fault. But this wasn't actually Saba's fault, because as I said in my previous video, it's usually just like YouTube autoplay. If you don't know, you guys probably have it turned off. If you're anything like me, I hate it. But again, obviously autoplay, sometimes autoplays someone else's stream or videos for you to move on to next. And a lot of people are obviously going to be watching Kiara if you're watching Saba. There's a lot of crossover between the fans, and also like if you're still following Hololive stuff. So again, there's going to be a lot of crossover. So a lot of people did get moved over to Kiara's stream. So people were saying, you know, raid, things like that, which obviously is great for Kiara's viewership, I guess. But like at the end of the day, I think it is a little bit rude that, you know, obviously a lot of these people have gone into the stream and kind of like hijacked it. And, you know, they've been doing it from the start of the stream, from, you know, 5 minutes before the debut, during the debut, and then they're doing it after the debut had finished as well. I mean, it must be absolutely relentless, you know? And I feel like, you know, I feel very sorry for Kiara having to deal with that many people that, you know, obviously clearly do not understand how rude and how kind of intrusive it is, because again, it is very intrusive. A lot of you know, these people joining, especially whenever you don't really want them to. And I think that, you know, I'm not saying that these people are necessarily bad people, and I've said this before, you know, I don't think they're like intentionally being malicious and trying to spread stuff in her chat or whatever just because, you know, they feel like being rude. I think it is genuinely people just don't know how to act in another person's chat sometimes, and it is a little bit disappointing, but again, it is just you know, one of those things. And essentially, if we keep going down, you know, people have been commenting, people saying a fish, Goose Saba, the fish, they said internal thoughts, I still love her so much, but I can't say anything right now, which yeah, is true. And that's obviously why it's very awkward, because they can't really say anything. They say it technically wasn't a raid, but it's funny, we were all thrown to Kiara's stream whenever Saba ended, yeah. And they said, I want to acknowledge the one responsible, but I'm not allowed to energy, which yeah, obviously you can definitely see how awkward it is due to the fact of, you know, her not being able to mention Saba at all. They can't just be like, oh, Saba, thanks for the like manual raid or whatever. And, you know, obviously, I'm sure she would have no problem being raided by that. I don't think they have any problems between each other. I think, you know, obviously they left on pretty good terms. But I think due to, you know, contract issues, she can't really say much about Saba. She can't really mention it, which obviously does suck. And I think that people coming over as well, spamming this kind of stuff, especially whenever she can't talk about it, would just be a very awkward situation for someone that is, yeah, under contract. And they say, catfish raids chickens, and I can't imagine how Kiara's feeling. I mean, cute, because you know what that means. But at the same time, she can't explicitly mention anything about it. It's kind of complicated, I guess. They said Saba is so cute and entertaining that you can click on any clever fur and it'll guarantee an instant dopamine hit. Said, I like it how you can kind of tell she didn't really want to touch on the topic, or rather that she's put in a strange situation by this unofficial raid, which yes, definitely is true. You know, it's not an unofficial raid. Yeah, obviously these people saying it was never an unofficial raid. It's an autoplay thing. It's not like an actual raid. But again, it's a kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It's more like a fan raid. You know, it's not like Saba didn't go, okay, everyone go over to Kiara's stream, or hey, I'm gonna just like click Kiara's stream and you guys can go over there. No, she didn't mention that at all. She literally just ended stream, and then YouTube's autoplay was the thing that brought them over there. So again, it wasn't any kind of like, you know, organized raid or like non-official or you know, official raid. It was literally just the fans going over there, or autoplay bringing the fans over there. And they said she can't talk about it, but a certain K princess follows Saba the fish. They said, while I get the enthusiasm, I don't recommend doing this regularly, since it will put Holo talents in a tight spot, which yeah, definitely is true. They say, since I'm pretty sure they aren't supposed to openly acknowledge the new channels of their ex-colleagues, which yes, true. They said, I really hope that one day this practice of keeping talents in a walled garden ends. It's a little dystopian, honestly, which yeah, definitely is true. I mean, you know, I don't like how Hololive does it with, in terms of, you know, kind of keeping people under contract, not being able to keep their personas in terms of VTubers, and, you know, keeping things very, very walled off, which I think, yeah, it does feel a little bit weird. And obviously they say dystopian there. They say Hololive has every right to not allow the promotion of unaffiliated channels and characters through its own IP. There are good reasons to keep it corporate, which I can understand, but obviously they say, from my understanding, they can support indie VTubers of their own interest, hence Ollie helping out Oscar Ray and Kiara collabing with Minto. Everything else that I have no idea on. I mean, yeah, obviously, I mean, I don't think they would have like the biggest issue in terms of like an indie VTuber, you know, them, you know, promoting an indie VTuber if they were completely indie and they'd never been seen before. I feel like, you know, there's probably, you know, chances for things like that to happen. But I think whenever it's an ex-Hololive member, it gets even more murkier. I think that's what some people forget. It's that it's not just some random indie VTuber that's popped up. It's an ex-member, and obviously I'm pretty sure Hololive would not want people to be promoting that, because it would be pretty bad for them. And I can understand why they wouldn't want to, but at the same time, it is disappointing to see that obviously Kiara cannot speak about, you know, Gura, and can't really talk about her, or say, sorry, Saba. And, you know, obviously this raid just makes things a little bit more complicated, because again, it's kind of inescapable at that point. It's almost like being bombarded with something that you can't talk about, and it's just like, okay, you know, it feels really weird. And, you know, if you were in that kind of situation, you would probably feel a little bit weird too, whenever you can't talk about something that is literally being openly spammed to you. And yeah, I think it's just a bit awkward, and I think this kind of stuff does need to stop for now. And obviously, you know, if Kiara ever goes and is allowed to talk about Saba or whatever, then yeah, maybe you can go ahead and then raid her or whatever. But for now, it seems like, you know, obviously it's created for a very awkward situation, and that Kiara isn't really allowed to speak about this kind of stuff right now. And yeah, I mean, that's how it is for the moment. And I just kind of wanted to talk about it because, again, it does, you know, kind of strike me as a little bit weird. And, you know, it has been going on over the past couple of days. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameStop, use my code Kaza, get 10% off again. They got a ton of really cool stuff over there. I definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Let's go. See ya.